Welcome back to Season 1, Episode 11. The title of this painting is Winter Glow, and as I mentioned in the previous episode, this picture has a very subdued feeling. It also has a very warm feeling to it, so even though it's a winter scene, you still get that warm feeling from it, I think, from the tones that Bob used in his painting, which I tried to replicate in this picture. It's much different than the previous pictures in the series in a few different ways. One, in the colors of the sky. He uses many colors in the sky. He starts out with some cad yellow, then he breaks into kind of like a grayish mix with a little bit of yellow and blue and brown. Then he goes more into the blue and crimson, and then a more darker white and crimson mix to make more of a pinkish color. And then we blend it all together and you get this really pretty sky, I think. And this is one of those cases where I can't get the full effect with the colors because I can't necessarily see all the reds. But it looks very different than a normal sky would look to me. One of the things about this painting is that sets it apart from the other ones in the series is the way that Bob made the mountains. Now, just like any other mountain he's made, we outline the basic shape of our mountains with a knife, but then when we go to do our highlights in shadows, once we've scraped off the excess paint, we're going to grab the 2-inch brush and we're going to use the paintbrush solely to create the highlights and shadows of the mountains, which creates a much more subdued feeling in the picture. We're not going to be using the palette knife to bring in some snow or to do some dark shadows in it. It's just a straight paintbrush. So as the series progressed, I feel like Bob did incorporate more and more of his color palette. In the first few episodes, he stuck to like 3 or 4 basic colors, and then as each episode increased, he used more and more of the colors on his palette. Now the whole goal for the whole first series for Bob Ross was to use only 8 colors. He wanted to set it up so that anyone that wanted to paint at home would just have to worry about getting 8 colors. Now obviously, well, not obviously, because if you haven't seen the whole series, all 12 or 13 series of the show, you wouldn't know, but he increases the amount of colors he uses as he goes. But for the first season, he kept it to 8 colors: titanium white, phthalo green, Prussian blue, Van Dyke brown, alizarin crimson, sap green, permanent red, and cad yellow. Now the other color that he uses that he doesn't put on his palette, and there's a reason he doesn't put on his palette, he calls it magic white. In later seasons he refers to it as liquid white. He changes the title of it, I believe. But it's the same paint. It's an oil-based, very thin oil-based white paint, and that's what he lays on the canvas before he even starts the painting. It keeps the canvas wet throughout the painting so that all your mixing of the paints can occur as you apply it onto the canvas and create some of the cool color effects you'll see, which I wish, being a colorblind person, I could get. I wish, being a colorblind person, that I could see the full effect of what he does. But even being colorblind, it was always magical to me what Bob could do on a canvas. So I do my best to recreate what he does. And I think to this point, the thing I've struggled with the most is the highlights, getting the highlights right. Some pictures, they've been better than others. I also got to work on my structures, I think. So here I am building the little Quonset hut barn. As the episode went on, Bob was like, I think I seem to remember there was an old man that owned a barn here. And so we'll just put that barn in. And every farmer needs a shed. So once we snow cover our roof and put in our little slats for the old worn boards, we'll then put our roof in. And then the walls for the shed. So as I said, even though it's a winter day, it still has a warm feeling. And you can tell it's a winter day because you can see the snow. You can see the snow highlights on the trees. You can see them on the bushes. So I made a decision here. I made an artistic decision here on my evergreen trees because in the episode, he only did his trees with the 2-inch brush that you see that I made. I'm reaching over here, like you can see what I'm pointing at. But if you look at the 2 trees on the right side of the painting, the one of the left of that one was the type of tree he made throughout the whole canvas. I made the artistic decision to do 2 evergreens. Actually, I made 3 evergreens because once I highlighted this evergreen here, I decided that this evergreen tree needed a little friend. So I gave him a little companion evergreen tree to go with him. And here's where color blindness plays a role in this painting because I was mixing on the palette. This is another one of those episodes where Bob didn't specify the degree to which he was mixing his paints. He just said, oh, I'm going to mix... He just said, oh, I'm going to mix some sap green, I'm going to mix some Van Dyke brown, and a little bit of phthalo blue, and he didn't... Prussian blue, excuse me. And he didn't... They didn't show how much he was adding of each, and so... The first few trees I made, I mixed what I thought he had mixed together. I estimated. And then the final tree, I had already run out of that mixture I made, so I mixed another batch of it, and I think I put too much green into it, because I can even tell it looks way different than the other trees, which we're about to see once I cover this fence with snow. This is the old rickety fence that the old farmer hadn't been taken care of. So I added a little too much sap green to this evergreen tree. So I can see the shading of that tree is much different than my other trees that I have on the canvas. And honestly, I could have gone back and fixed it. I could have blended it out and tried again. But I actually liked the way it looked when I was done, so I kept it as it was. That's going to do it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this painting. Stay tuned for tomorrow, and make sure you like and subscribe, and happy painting, everybody.